Welcome back, fellow travelers, to the Never Ending Adventure Podcast. My name is DJ Netty P, as always, coming at you live with the NPR mic and NPR voice today. Feeling real nice and chill here.
Oh, you sound so NPR in my ears right now.
You get really close to the mic. You need to get that ASMR going.
Yeah. Hey, welcome, fellow travelers, to the Adventure Time Podcast. I don't think I'm as good at it as you are.
You
know that you
went
came
like
here.
higher pitched with your voice.
We know that you came here for Adventure Time talk. Sorry, I'm trying to do Keith
Russell's NPR voice goes weirdly too quick to a witch or something of that.
Welcome to the Never Ending Adventure Time Podcast. My name is Russell Tindall. Blah blah blah. Poop. Welcome everybody.
Yeah,
sorry for that intro,
back, man. It's been a while since we've been hot on the mics here.
Yeah, it has been a little bit. You were at a wedding this weekend. Your best man over here.
Best mensch.
Yeah, I mean, can't be surprised. Come on, I've got to be jealous of anyone who's going to choose Netty P as his best man.
It was fun. It was a daggum heck of a lot of logistics planning. So that's why I'm in more of a chill mood tonight, because this is my nice restful day today. So I'm enjoying it. And it's a good way to wrap up a good restful day.
Yeah, and you confirmed with me off the podcast that you are not hungover.
And no, I am not hungover.
I refuse to believe that, but
oh no,
that is what you said.
It is. We ate a lot of late night pizza. I think that soaked everything up. So I think we're good there. But today we are talking.
Yeah.
If you're new to the podcast,
If you're new to the podcast, I've never seen it before. And Ned, this was such a great episode.
Yeah, man. Season 3, episode 10. Great way. Again, I think we've not been bored with some of the season 3 episodes. We've had some great ones. But this has been kind of what you always look for. You want that canon character development, even if it's not exciting or explosive or expands the universe. I just know you really like.
And it was explosive, and it gave me chills at a moment. And I think I already have a number 1 song prediction for the season. You want to know what it is, Ned?
I can guess.
Pasta, water, getting hotter. A song about noodles.
A song about noodles. I just loved how he had unwrapped ramen in his book bag. But not only that, when Marcy's like, I'm going to go get some stuff to cook it. And he's like,
ramen.
Cook it. He's just been eating raw ramen.
I missed that. That's so funny.
Not to mention that apparently we have learned that ramen survives or has the ability to shelf life through a nuclear apocalypse of some sort.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I don't think bugs either would go for just raw ramen, right? So I'm sure it's just untouched. Just who cares if it's in your backpack? I'd probably still eat it.
Yeah, I'd say that, or there would be, the second theory and behind that one would be if there was a ramen princess, which would work with wavy hair and all that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure there is. There's got to be.
Or like Chinese food kingdom or something like that. I don't know.
You know what just hit me about this episode, Ned?
What?
And this isn't even barely on my notes, but we totally forgot about the Toys Kid.
I know. I read a good note about that line. In the beginning of the episode, when the Door Lord is busting through, stealing up everybody's stuff, Finn runs by the little candy person, who was my backup lovely of this episode, I will have to say. We'll get to the normal ones later, but the candy kid that's playing with the train, and he's like, I'll get your kid back, toy. And apparently that was a misspoken line by Adam Muto in this episode when he was doing the storyboard writing. And everybody in the writer's room thought it was just so funny that they were like, just keep it in there. That's hilarious.
That's great.
So
we got a really cool setting for this episode, just to kind of lay the ground of what we're talking about. And in case you're not familiar with the name, what was missing. We go to the Red Rock Pass, which we've seen, and it came from the Ninosphere, which is the first episode of season 2, I believe. We also saw it in Susan Strong, though I don't recall necessarily seeing it in Susan Strawn, but that's what the Wikipedia page was saying.
Yeah, it was when Susan.
It's so cool.
She pushes the rock off the top. No, that was still in Nightosphere. But yeah, I think it was really briefly in the Susan Strong.
Or maybe
episode.
when she crushes the rock.
Yeah, I think that's
a low-level enemy.
Yeah.
Yes. That is it is. Okay.
But that is the primary setting for this one. So it's cool that, it's such it's a trench essentially. So it's cool to see that we are getting repeating settings in the world,
And the only notable inhabitants that I know of are ants.
Our ants in that little, and door lords apparently now. So
door lords.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's kind of the funny thing is maybe I couldn't tell if this was like the official hidden doorway was at that location, or if the door lord could have popped open that door at any point, any place. But
maybe I think it was just a special key, perhaps. But essentially, there's a door that Finn and Jake and Princess Bubblegum and Marceline and BMO are trying to get through, and on the door you have the inscription, "This door shall yield to no command save for a song from a genuine band." And so our crew, our babies, all get together and
little babies
all get together and try and form a band. I mean, who hasn't done that? Everybody's formed a band before, right? I formed a band.
I know. What was the name of yours again? It was
Oh gosh, which one?
I don't even know if you've shared that with everybody. Well, no, you had two in college. I know, right?
Yeah, I had one I was in a worship band, and then I was also in an alternative rock band in college. And then growing up early on, I had my first band, the one that I formed with my best buddies, and only two of us went on to become musicians by any standard of being a musician. Was just a System of a Down cover band. And that's, I think at this point in my career, I think I would rather point people to that because there's no music to be found from that terrible band. But then my high school band and my college band, there is music out there on the interwebs that maybe someday people will find, and I can be embarrassed. But
yeah, y'all can do some Google digging for that. Russell will send you on a little adventure of your own to go find his college band music.
Yeah, maybe so. I'm a drummer.
If you find it, send Russell a link. Give him a review of his album in our email address. Well, I was going to say, because both of us are in the music world, in the music business space now, but you are definitely one that sits on the more creative end of things. So I would ask you, from your time as doing like music management stuff and in band stuff, what was your analysis of kind of all the music breakdowns here? Like good, bad, what defines a real band? Because I just wanted to get kind of your gut reaction from this whole episode.
Yeah. Well, I think every band has to have a jerk in it. And I think you have that in Jake, and we needed that because every good band has a jerk in it.
That was the reason it succeeded.
Man, this is such a loaded question because there are so many things I want to talk about in the music world and about this band and just in general this episode. The whole episode's about music, which is, we share a deep passion. Man, I've gotten so deep into Daft Punk recently, and that's all because of you.
Yeah,
certainly.
So good, man.
Oh, they're so good. But with this, we already said his name, Jake. He's my lovely.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Mm-hmm. He was my lovely too.
Oh, dude,
but
Jake is just phenomenal.
Specifically, Rip Jeans punk rock Jake was my lovely of the episode. Sexiest character and loveliest character of the episode was Rip Jeans punk rock Jake. And a great fact I actually read about that was there was a storyboarded scene that Jake actually is whenever they're in Marcy's house or they go back to Marcy's house, Jake's like ripping on her and he's like, "I'm going to steal one of your jeans." And she's like, "I liked it better when you were scared of me." But apparently those are Marcy's jeans.
Okay, great. It goes, so I know what's missing. Talent. I'm getting out of here, you hacks. Talentless hacks. And then he saves the day, essentially. It's really the reason why Jake is my lovely for this episode.
Okay.
Jake totally saves the day without him saying that line and like cutting up and Marcy laughing and going, "Yikes." After Marceline's song and the reveal of like her deep emotions and Princess Bubblegum's face, their reaction, they were so pissed off at each other. I truly believe that she would not have gone and gotten the ramen or a cooker for the ramen. She would have just left. I think
she would have just left.
The day would have been over. And so Jake saved the day.
He kind of, maybe this was intentional. Maybe it was just kind of a Jake-ism, but that lightheartedness, keeping this, a situation that obviously was pretty high tensions from the beginning, that his actions were there to like literally be like, hey, people, like the drama can be on me. I can be the drama. You guys just like hang out and chill and be friends and stuff like that to kind of be the diversion.
I think he's really aware of that. Yeah. I think he just like has probably kind of that like, man, you're not watching One Piece right now. But Luffy has this weird, the main character of One Piece, weird like innate sense of empathy and awareness of people to where he knows exactly what to say or to do in order to get on people's like the right side or to win them over, or like in a situation he'll like punch his friend and everyone will be like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? And then in the next scene, the friend will be like, yeah, that was like what he should have done. Like, I get it. I was in the wrong. It's like, it's kind of this. And I think Jake is kind of using that a little bit. Like, and also when he pretends to quit the band, it's just so great. Jake is fantastic this episode.
I thought it was great when he backed away. And this might have been, I had several tops of this episode, I feel like. But one of my favorite ones was when he backs away and he's like, oh, I quit the band. He's like, it's all good. I'm just acting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, like, it was so funny. But then Finn says, be nicer to each other and hang out as buds. And I just wanted to mention, like, what's more genuine than a band hating each other?
Yeah,
we've seen it time and time. Like the Beatles, they all quit at some point. Fleetwood Mac hated each other. Van Halen, the two Van Halen brothers, and then David Lee Roth hated each other. Oasis, two brothers, hated each other, and they quit the band. Like, of course, you got to have a jerk, and you got to quit the band at some point, and it all happens. We all quit. I quit. Well, I guess my college band just kind of broke up because we were all doing different things after college. But I quit 2 bands, sort of.
Yeah. Hopefully not as much with disdain and anger or anything like that. So,
well, one of them was a little bit of disdain for my high school band, but it was kind of more, I got fired and no one told me I was fired, but it was really just because I was at college and I wasn't back in Gwinnett County, like trying to be in a band. I was trying to be in college. So.
Which is understandable, So no hate, at least with that band. We won't have Russell screaming talentless hacks.
No, I'm just kidding. Not at all. Dude, I went back. After freshman year, all of freshman year, I was still in that band. And the summer of freshman year of college, I was still in that band. Just for whatever reason, sophomore year rolled around and we had a gig and I wasn't told about it. So who knows? Dang. But yeah, man, what freaking talentless hacks. Get out of here.
Talentless hacks, man.
Well,
on that note, though, because we were talking about Jake being our lovelies, though, Jake was solid in this episode. Obviously, we loved him. I did have a mistake, though.
Making bacon pancakes.
When he comes out, he does straight up bust his viola. And then you see Shelby for a brief second,
for a moment,
crawl back into the busted up viola. And then at the very end, it's just like duct taped together. And I was like, I'm all about Jake playing the part, man. But you just busted your viola, like your special thing, man,
Does he tape it up with duct tape?
I don't think they show it, but yeah, he smashes it before Finn does his Best Friends in the World song. But then Jake jumps in and starts playing it again, but it's duct taped in the middle. But I'm like, dude, also you just like total disregard for Shelby's home. Like it needs to be a shared space between Jake's musical talents and Shelby's actual
100% agree.
So that was my, I don't know. Did you have any other Jake mistakes that you could have thought of there?
I don't really have any Jake mistakes. Like I said, I love Jake in this episode. I think he's fantastic. I was so distracted by the music and just Jake and PB and Marceline and my debate in my head of who's sexier. Is it PB? I'm digging her sweater, the dress combo, and her hair's pulled back. But then also like Marceline's got a tank top and the sun hat fit going on, got glow in the axe.
Such cool like boots on in this episode with the bows on the back of the boots. I thought that was really cool.
Marceline is my sexy character.
I want to have your baby.
It's her singing. Her singing won me over. PB doesn't have that natural musical talent. She had she went like, all right, let's go into music theory and do this quintuplet blah 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 thing. Nah, man, it's all about from the heart, and that's what the door wanted. The door wanted something straight from the heart, something sincere.
Well, and it goes to show, I mean, a lot of Marcy's songwriting and song playing and musical ability is definitely, I would say, therapeutic for her. Like, she has to open up and express her real emotions via music, because she doesn't do that with dialogue. She doesn't do that with relationships. Yeah, and I don't blame her. She was, in theory, she was alone for thousands of years, you know? So she had to figure out a way to express herself as well as work out emotional issues. And you really get to see that it wasn't just, Daddy, why did you eat my fries? Because that was the first instance again where she fully expressed something via song that she was not going to express by just talking and sitting down with that person. So this one is obviously expresses way deeper feelings that we only had theoretically speakings about, like when we saw them in the movie episode when Finn takes Marcy to the movies. We now see it in this episode, that everything that you were theorizing about their relationship, like you're like, oh, this is like, there was a falling out. There is this, and it's weird,
very straightforward
tension
about it, right?
Yeah,
they're not really even hinting at it. I mean, it feels so obvious that, oh yeah, they were dating for sure. I mean, she calls her a pretty pink face. I mean, it would for a kid viewing
it flies under the radar.
Wouldn't think anything of it, certainly. But and we'll talk more about, I think, their relationship probably after the commercial and our thoughts on that song, because that's such an in-depth moment, and all of their interactions throughout this episode. We'll dive into that just a touch more, but yeah, dude, gosh, it's just so good.
Yeah. And I think
what I was going to say is the LGBT, that's where my brain was going.
Yeah.
Like, representation in this show has been really phenomenal, as well as something else that, like, as a kid, you're probably not thinking much of unless you're struggling with, or not. I say that as in, like, your life is rough because people aren't accepting kind of a struggle, not like, you know, you think you're gay. Like, no, like, you're struggling with people accepting who you are for what you are and all that, and who you are, whatever. But, you know, you have BMO, as we've mentioned before.
Like a non-binary character.
Right? And then we kind of jokingly were like, I don't know what Abracadaniel's vibe is.
Like Mushroom Man, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Mushroom Penis
maybe that's
Man who isn't
the plus
sexual.
of LGBTQ plus is
like not
whatever
sexual,
Abracadaniel is.
He goes after the kiss because he feels like he deserves it because he won the competition, you know? And then you have PB and Marceline, who both, I guess, are bisexual. Well, I don't know if they ever say or if they ever, like, define how they feel, but certainly Princess Bubblegum once dated the old Mr. Cream Puff, and Marceline dated Ash for a little bit, and then they dated each other. So it's very cool.
Still, they do a good job of, like, opening this all up in this episode without, again, explicitly stating it. So that kind of helps more with the storytelling in Adventure Time, because Finn is still just young enough where it kind of, I think, flies over his head a little bit. He's not like, he still doesn't in this episode with like, you guys definitely dated. I think Finn's thinking of it because he's sitting down there and he's like, the best friends, and he's like, I don't care. And I've got deeper thoughts about, you know, Finn's song and his feelings towards PB. But this was like,
and he just mentions when y'all got mad last night. He doesn't say anything about like, oh, what was that tension? He's just like, when y'all were mad at each other, it was still great.
But he's not enough emotionally rounded to, I think, have picked up on that, you know, the complexities of what Marcy was singing about. And I think he was like enamored that the door started opening when she sang the song, and he kind of probably stopped listening a little bit.
That's totally what he zoned in on. He's like, okay, what about, because afterwards he's like, oh, what was it? What was causing the door to open up? Was it the vocals? Was it, you know, it's the truth, which he finds out later, or being sincere. I love, though, that just everybody, I mean, poor PB in a way, like everybody has issues with PB in this episode. Like they are ripping on her. She's just hanging out. At the end, we find out that she has the t-shirt, right? But it's like, and she means well in this episode. She's trying to help out or whatever. And the whole time, I don't even know if she's initiating. I think it's really just Marceline's just going after her, and she breaks BMO, like catches him on fire. And Finn is also being like, what am I? Am I your knight? You know, everybody's going after Princess Bubblegum this episode.
Yeah. Well, at least she didn't get really defensive too much about it, like until like Marcy started yelling at her. But you saw that I think she was probably didn't jump on the defensive train because her thing that she was, and my theme, kind of my overarching theme, was that everybody had something that needed to be honestly stated out loud. And PB doesn't jump into it till the very end. She grabs a t-shirt and she was like, yeah, she is honest about it at the end, but there was obviously something about her kind of blushing and running over and grabbing the t-shirt where she didn't want Marcy to know about that.
Yeah, I agree.
And because she could have just told her that, like when Marcy was getting all upset and stuff, she didn't jump in and say like, hey, I still care about you, you know?
Just imagine being in her place. There's no way you're going to tell somebody that you held on to a t-shirt years after y'all broke up, sort of a thing. Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's pride at that point or embarrassment or she.
It's just one of those things that you just are too afraid to say or don't feel like they need to be said anymore.
Yeah. Well, a lot of
probably, I don't know. I don't know the relationship because I'm the guy who's never seen the show.
Yeah.
But in a breakup, like, I'm not going to tell someone that I held on to something because I still have feelings for them.
Yeah. Well, and what you do, and I don't think this is too much of a spoiler drop, but Mike, you can drop a spoiler drop note in here if you would like, is that PB, again, I know it's not explicitly stated. It's even kind of pseudo mentioned here that she kind of chose the Candy Kingdom, chose the princess life over a relationship with Marceline. And really a relationship with anybody else per se, you know, that when Marcy in the song and she's like, I'm not, you know, like one of those little candy people that, you know, follows you around and kowtows to you like you're perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
we can't help but get into the songs. They're so good. They're so good.
I know. So, but we'll take a break because we'll dissect the song a little bit more. We'll dig into, I've got a big kind of overarching theme that both of actually all of the songs, even PB's little weird song is I think has a really important, cool contextual thing I found about it. So I think that's going to be fun to dissect it.
Sounds good.
All right, send it.
All right, Door Lord, where were you Sunday, July 17th at 6:47 p.m.? Yeah. All right, so you're trying to tell me right now that a child, 2 girls, and a remote control toy came in and beat you up. Well, I'm looking around. We are in your room right now, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing all these toys, these items, and these are all just yours? You just collect all of these things? Seems kind of random. Seems as if you don't really have. I need purchase receipts. Give me receipts. You have receipts? All right, Door Lord. I have to go get my partner, Babyface. We're gonna have to take you downtown. I know you've been stealing these things. There's no way, kid, a dog, 2 girls, and a toy beat you up. Oh boy, I'm Babyface, and we're gonna whoop your ass, all right? That's right. We're beating you up too. Welcome back, fellow travelers. I apologize for that.
Our non-ad / bit about the Door Lord interrogation.
It was a one take, and to tell you the truth, we should probably do way more takes than we ever do.
Got to have that ad lib mentality with our ads.
Bad lib.
Our yeah.
Well, we're talking about Princess Bubblegum and Marcy. Let's get into Princess Bubblegum and Marcy this episode. We gosh, what is their first? This is the most. Dang man, I mean, this is the most we've seen them interact.
Yeah, and we've
seen Power Animal. They were there, but they weren't interacting. And then Go With Me. They had that kind of what did she call her? Peebles or something like that?
Yeah, that was Finn called her
No.
Poibles, and then she calls her Bonnabelle. Because she's the only one at this point that's calling her by her name, you know?
Yep, that's true. Well, so they're talking about the Door Lord and how Princess Bubblegum says, like, the Door Lords, they kept escaping or they kept breaking out because they're the Lords of Doors. So, of course, they did. And Marcy says, they broke out because you let them live, which is the implication on that is so good. Yeah. But it shows a little bit of that conflict beginning, right? And then Marcy goes in, she's going to play her bass riff. And she says, just keep it cool. Got that, princess? And so again, it's that tension just at the beginning of this episode. It's building. I love it because you don't have to see the rest of the show, but man, this episode is so much better if you have seen the rest of the episodes leading up to this episode. Mm-hmm. And they're playing their music. They're not grooving together. That first section of the song, the instrumentals, in my opinion, feel like very all over, like just overstepping. They're all on top of each other. It doesn't sound good. It's not consistent. They're all playing for themselves and they're not playing for the good of the tune itself. Mm-hmm. But then you have Marcy's lyrics come in, which are just unreal. I mean, and they're so deep from the get-go. I'm going to bury you in the ground. I'm going to drink the red from your pretty pink face.
Well, see, I had a note about the beginning of the song starts with when they just start playing and she goes, I'm going to bury you in the ground, all this stuff. I think the song started out about the Door Lord and like she was going to bury the Door Lord in the ground. And then as she kind of gets lost in the music, it accidentally starts to become about Princess Bubblegum.
But it's the second line. The second line is, I'm going to drink the red from your pretty pink face.
That's what I'm thinking. It started bury you in the ground or whatever. It was like, okay, cool. We're doing a screw you Door Lord song. And then it transitioned because like all that she has emotionally is songs and emotions.
So maybe just that PB. One line because she doesn't really want to bury Princess Bubblegum in the ground.
Yeah, and that's why when the song ends, she kind of hits that last note of how she was feeling. And you'll read it in a second, but hits that last note. And then she loses it when she goes back to the lyrics about burying you in the ground. And she's like, what was I thinking about? Like, you know?
Yeah, maybe so. So what I just thought was interesting was drink the red from their pretty pink face. As this goes on, there is a moment and we see Princess Bubblegum's face reacting. And there's 3 different times in this episode where she goes kind of pale. Or the first 2 times she's not actually pale, but the light from the door of the Door Lord shows so brightly on her face when Marcy is in her most like deep and dark moment of that song, most sincere moment. And PB has these 2 lines over her eye or over like around really. It's like above and below her eyes. She's just totally pale and she's truly white. In that moment, like she's like pale, white, dead, whatever you want to say. Like she's emotionless other than just in awe of what is happening, what she's saying to her. And anyways, so PB stops her with I'm going to drink the red from your pretty pink face. PB says the line that is all over TikTok. Well, actually, sorry, Marcy says that, but Marceline, that's too distasteful. And then Marceline, of course, says, oh, you don't like that? Or you just not like me? Mm-hmm. And then goes right into I'm Just Your Problem, which is written by Rebecca Sugar. And let's get into it. Some lines that I thought were really interesting. Sorry, I don't treat you like a goddess. This is right after that. Sorry, I don't treat you like a goddess. Is that what you want me to do? Sorry, I don't treat you like you're perfect, like all your loyal subjects do. Which that is some good ass writing, dude.
Yeah. And it goes to show that, you know, the way that she is ruling the Candy Kingdom and what we've been able to analyze, but it's not explicitly stated, is that she is like she creates her little loyal subjects and that she is kind of this like
everyone's in line.
I can't do any wrong because everybody's in line type mentality, you know?
Sorry, I'm not made of sugar. Am I not sweet enough for you? Oh, dude. So, and then a little further on, I shouldn't have to prove anything to you. I'm sorry that I exist. I forgot what landed me on your blacklist. She doesn't even recall the conflict. Mm-hmm. She has no idea. Did PB do something to her to make her forget? Or was it just been so long and they just haven't talked about it in so long? Or for whatever reason, she's blocked it out in her mind. And maybe it was even something that doesn't even matter. Maybe it was so small and minuscule that who cares?
more about the exact interaction that happened in the Varmints episode. I think that's like all the way in season 6 to 8, whenever the Varmints episode is.
Okay.
They have this heart to heart and pretty much sit down and talk about it and say, like, what was the reason that we stopped being friends? Like, and they don't explicitly say dating, but they're like, what happened? And neither one of them can really recall something specifically that they did, but they remember how they felt about the other person and getting hurt. And both of them were hurt in essence. So that's kind of like, I think, why Princess Bubblegum in this song is caught off guard, like you said, kind of white-faced, blushing a little bit, because I think she didn't know that Marcy had all these pent-up feelings. Again, I think whatever it was adult enough of a parting of ways where there was emotions hurt, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, you did this one thing, breakup. Like, it wasn't an Ash breakup, you know?
Totally. And I'm sure the Ash breakup, we saw what he had done to her. We saw that was over time, years. I mean, that wasn't just like a one moment. That was certainly build up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, okay, this is the final straw with Ash. Mm-hmm. But she goes on there to sing, I shouldn't have to be the one to make it up to you. So why? Why do I want to? Why do I want to? And of course, in my opinion, she's like, she tries to back out because she realizes kind of what you were saying. Like, she's totally being completely honest. She's sharing her heart to Princess Bubblegum, to everyone there witnessing what's happening. And she's all of a sudden, as this song's kind of like, it's almost like the tempo or how fast she's singing slows down enough for her to process what she's truly saying. And she's trying to back out. And she goes, bury you in the ground, and gets back into that, and drink the blood from your, and of course, Princess Bubblegum is staring at her. She's looking at her. She's in awe. She's totally pale hearing what Marcy has to say about her. And it throws both of them for a loop, and especially Marcy right there. And she blames it on Princess Bubblegum.
Yeah, I think, well, the blame game here is, I think, Marcy's way of deflecting about potentially something that she did in potentially a way that she's not handled this relationship. But the big thing I saw with the overall part of the song is that, you know, starts out like violent, then gets into, I'm going to say mean things about you, like, I don't treat you like a goddess, is going straight after her, ends with her getting to more of a soft, cushy Tootsie Pop center, where she's like, why do I still want to make up with you? Like, why do I still want to be the one that tries really hard? And I think it's this, I see the song as this emotional damaging cycle, is that every time Marcy thinks about PB, she gets angry at first, really thinks about it emotionally, starts getting sad, and then her defense mechanism for every time I feel sad, I just get mad again. So that's why she cycles back to bury you and doing mad lyrics. And she's in this, like, the more mad she gets, then she gets sad, and that makes her mad that she's sad. And she just going in a full circle there, and never is able to vocalize or even lay out emotionally how she feels and express that to PB in a healthy way, because she's just stuck in this emotional drying cycle, you know?
Yeah. And as far as the song is concerned, this is a song that gave me chills.
Yeah.
I was in awe. The use of the door opening up and getting louder, and it's so dissonant and kind of gives this eerie tone, and it just works so well with what she's doing and causes you to just kind of have this like emotional, like overbearing feeling occurring.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's phenomenal. And I love that the lights get brighter and brighter, and the noise is just, getting louder and louder. Fantastic. I want to say with both these songs, Rebecca Sugar wrote both of them, and I think she did a phenomenal job taking in the history of the show and just knowledge of what's happened in the show so far, and then also having it be revealing, having it be so deep for both of these characters, and be so aware of their age and their feelings, with Finn especially, and how he feels. And then at the same time, not have to feel like a Disney pop hit song. They
Yeah,
both
and
don't feel like something you could put on repeat over and over and over again. You can, and they're great, and I love them. But at the same time, they're not songs that like Bruno, whatever. It's not like a song that's just going to be an earworm for the rest of your life and going to be on the top 100 Billboard. And they're not trying to be. It's these characters that are young or inexperienced, or Marcy plays bass and it's her way of getting her emotions out. Like, I'm not great at drums anymore, but I still play drums and I do it, and I could write a little song and it would be very heartfelt, but it's not necessarily the best thing ever. And I think Rebecca Sugar, as a talented songwriter, reflects her knowledge of how those characters would actually write a song and sing the song. It's very cool.
And I thought the way that they were written and played musically as well was really genius, in the fact that if you kind of notice, they're not hitting the note changes with their voices and the note changes with the instruments at the same time, which still gives it a very much of a vibe from a music standpoint, that it's kind of being made up on the spots. There's a couple of like slant rhyme things. There's some lines, like even especially with Finn's song, where he's like kind of cramming a lot of words into too short of a bar, and so it had that improvisational feel while still being a very intentionally written song by the writers itself.
And again, I think Rebecca wrote that intentionally to sound improvised, and I think that's part of kind of what I was saying.
Yeah, and that's why I thought both of these were great. I liked hers more than Finn's song. But to break quickly, I'll own breaking down PB's one real quick.
Okay, well, yeah, and that even goes into just right after that, man, because that's when. Well, yeah, let's hit that, and then we'll hit what happens to BMO, and we'll further into Marcy and PB's interactions.
Yeah, well, PB automatically takes it in like the most PB direction, and I think this is what makes Marceline furious about her, is that she tries to take everything and dissect it into an equation. So even after Marcy almost opened this door and it was missing something, PB was like, "Oh yeah, it's missing science and structure," and that mentality is what drives Marcy crazy about Princess Bubblegum. And she was like, it is about emotion. And like, you almost missed the important part of my song, because now you're like, yeah, all it was missing was like structure and what she say, the I missed the Q word, the qualums. I can't even remember, but basically eighth. It was like the British word for eighth notes. And the funny thing is, in PB's song, the only thing that is truly like structured is that she writes the mathematical formula for Euler's identity, which is considered an exemplary. Excuse me, I don't even know how to. It's all mathematical terms. Exemplar of mathematical beauty, as it shows a profound connection between the most fundamental numbers in mathematics. In addition, it is directly used in a proof that pi is transcendental, which implies the impossibility of squaring the circle. But the cool thing in that definition that I wrote is, I was like, okay, what does transcendental mean? In mathematics, a transcendental number is a number that is not algebraic. That is a non-root of a non-zero polynomial of finite degree with rational coefficients. And I just loved that definition because, one, I hardly know what it means, but it used the term non-algebraic, which I was like, that sounds so Finn-esh. And it'll be like, yep, she literally wrote an equation that is non-algebraic. And that's why her song sucked.
Dang, that's cool. Man,
but it's essentially a mathematical, it's a mathematical formula for like a perfect circle, like defining a pi in a perfect circle. So she thinks she's going to use it because it's going to make a perfect song, but it lacks every bit of emotion, which is what
that's
Marcy
what I was going to say. I wish we got more from Princess Bubblegum. I wish she had sang to some degree, because this entire episode is just people putting blame and responsibility on PB, especially Marceline. And we don't get to hear her side. I want to know how PB actually feels, other than at the very end with the t-shirt thing. But that's not her side about what happened or how she feels. That's just, oh yeah, I wear the shirt. And I mean, it's an incredible moment, but it's not quite the same of what we get with Finn and with Marceline. Sorry, I'm getting PB and Marceline all confused this episode because they're in the same episode for the first time. But anyways, or like to this degree.
Yeah, to this
So
degree.
she hurts BMO, and Marceline goes, looks like you aren't as perfect as you thought. And that's where that big conflict, like this is like the moment, right, in my mind, other than the song, but when they're actually having the conflict, PB says, I never said I was perfect. And then she spits on her, dude. You can't
I thought that was a little not cool. I was like, you just got all emotional and real, and you just went straight to spitting on somebody. And I think that shows that's why they haven't worked things out. Every time they get almost to the meat of their issues, one of them either goes hyper mathematic and let's analyze this relationship from a mathematical standpoint, or Marcy, who just spits and walks away. Dude, like
that is just so. Don't spin on people.
That's slow. I think that crosses cultural boundaries that you don't spin on people.
Yeah, but PB does that cool arm kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird
anger
thing.
Arm walk away.
Anger arm and just walks away. And probably the best thing she could do, because how did she not just start railing on Marceline? I don't know how she held it in, but she put her arms up, walked away, and then of course Marcy tears up and also walks away. Everybody's quitting. Jake's quitting as a joke.
Yeah.
it's very funny. With Jake at least, but and then later on, you do have the T-shirt moment. They go there into the keepers, or not the keepers, the Door Lord's lair, and the rock shirt is given to Marceline because, of course, Marceline has a rock shirt, and PB is like, "No, actually, that's my shirt." And they have that very incredibly sweet moment where Marceline is like, "Oh, you kept it." And PB's just like real. She's like, yeah, of course I did. Like I wear it to hang out or sleep in or whatever.
That's why I think it was so like PB plays it off. She's like, of course I did, silly. And Marcy's like, no, that's not an obvious thing, because I've literally been telling you that you're not showing any emotion. I have no idea how you are emotionally processing or emotionally processed or put anything to rest our relationship. And PB's never given any sort of what would you call it, feedback to Marceline of like, oh yeah, I'm sorry that you feel that way about me, or I wish that wasn't the case and here's why. And this is the first explanation that Marcy's gotten from her, and that's why she kind of gets surprised, puts her guard down, that she's like, oh, PB does care. She just does not show it at all. Like, even though she opens up about it at the end pretty easily, Marcy, I think, kind of stops and goes like, you could have just told me that. Like, you could have just told me that I still hold a special place in your life to some degree.
She was put on the spot, for sure. I think she had to be put on the spot. And Marcy kind of was too with the, where's your item, Marceline? Oh, you just want to hang out with us.
And that loops into my lesson in deep thought of the episode, which we'll get into after Finn's song. But it's honesty. Yeah. And
it's just like, go with me, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, she just wanted to prank PB. I think the whole purpose of Go With Me, that episode, is so that she can be hanging out with Finn and also, more importantly, hanging out with Princess Bubblegum a little bit.
Yeah, she knows that Finn is her friend for sure, but it's kind of, he is the now middleman to how she can still be around Princess Bubblegum again without, because like I don't think they really hung out at all until Finn was in the glue of a friendship,
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, well, let's get into Finn's song a little bit. The kind of Decemberists vibe, whatever. I don't know why it was giving me Decemberist vibes, but
I love Finn's song. To start it off, like I know you'll read some of the lines of it, but all of a sudden when they break up the band and they're just walking away, he just starts singing, because that is what Finn does. He just ad-libs songs all the time in the show anyway. I don't even think he was thinking about it being a song that could open the door, but he just starts singing and he's like, together. You like this? Yeah. And then that was the kicker, is he saw that all he was doing, he wasn't even writing a song for the purpose of opening the door. He was writing a song about how the breaking up of the band made him feel. And then he was like, that's what it needed. It needed an honest moment. And then Finn does a really good job of just busting it open and being like, the thing that I've been holding back on is my relationship with Princess Bubblegum. in my intentions of it. And the fact
chorus,
that the chorus is, but it's so cool because at this point when we've discussed it, like you and I have discussed it, we're like, oh yeah, Princess Bubblegum just, flirts with him all the time and he likes her so much. And this song, I think, really explains the fact that Finn has had a crush on her. She's really special in his life, but he has no intention or expectation that she's going to fall in love with him and be a girlfriend. Because he's like, what am I? Am I your knight or your brother? Or do you see me like a lover? Or like basically all of that stuff where he's like, I don't care if you explicitly say you want to date me, you don't want to date me. You need to just define the parameters of our relationship and what I am to you. And that will help me calm down and probably get over this crush a lot more,
Yeah. Well, let's read the first
break
line.
it down.
I mean, everyone bubblegum, and I don't want to sing this because I'm a terrible singer, and also,
leave that to Jeremy for sure.
Reasons. Yeah. Bubblegum, I'm so dumb. I should have just told you what I lost was a piece of your hair, which he's already being so sincere and so willing to be open. With everybody.
He realizes that the click is honesty, and that he's like, okay, cool, time to be honest.
Yeah. Now it's gone forever. But I guess what doesn't matter when I just had all of you there. And he's like, man, it was so great. Like, really, I just wanted all of you guys to be my friends and be hanging out. And that was kind of honestly better than anything else that could have been going on. But then the next line I bolded is, if you're even my friends. So he's even kind of questioning. He's like, well, like what is our dynamic? I know obviously Jake is my brother, but how are me and PB? And also like Marcy, like I had a crush on you for a split second in one episode, and now we're just like buds, and that's fine. But he's like, let's just be friends if y'all actually see me as a friend. Of course, the chorus is, am I a joke, your knight, or your brother? What am I to you? Do you look down on me because I'm younger? Do you think I don't understand? Dude, I love it. I don't even feel like I need to comment on it.
Good because it puts the dynamic of Finn of not just he's emotional because she doesn't like him. He's emotional because he's like, I want to be a part of your life because I'm your friend. I hope you're my friend too. But in order for that to happen, I need to see how you see me. I need to see what Finn looks like through Princess Bubblegum's eyes, because then he can begin to process his emotions better. If you see me like a little brother, let me know, because then I can process. The crush will probably more easily go away because it's going to become more of a brotherly, sisterly. Or am I your knight? Like, am I just the man that does business for you? Like, am I just another one of your, people that work in your kingdom? Do you even see me as somebody to have bro talk with or a friend to talk with? So basically,
obsessing over here. I'll forget that I lost. This is another line from the song. I'll forget that I lost a piece of your hair. I'll remember the pasta that was shared over there, which is again talking about Rebecca Sugar, referencing earlier season 2, episode 10, to cut a woman's hair. Their pasta date, their spaghetti date. It's so good the way she did all of that with both of the songs. It's phenomenal. The Doors I noted that they don't add their harmonies until kind of later in the song because it doesn't add as much to the song as it did with Marceline's song. But the best part for me for this song, at least, is not even the song itself, but the images and the shots, like the key frames that the artist chose for Finn and for PB and Marceline. And PB and Marceline singing harmonies together. You got Finn rocking out, looking like Queen at the very end. Where
I was going to say, it's too super Freddie Mercury at the end. I was going to say, though, I saw the part of the song that I'd say that I didn't like just from the musical standpoint was the key change. He key changes like right at the last chorus. But then when you said, oh, yeah, the actual door is, the pitch of the doors going higher and higher and higher and louder and louder and louder. And they actually had to key change in order to keep with the tone that the door, because it was getting higher pitched. And so I was like, oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense why they decided to key change was to match the sound of the door, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, the ending on the door break. I'm not even trying to sing it like he does it because of the modulations he does or whatever. But it's so sick, dude. The face, the microphone, the door is acting like spotlights on Finn. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and another cool thing is when it happens that it shines all light, but there's not like an I was expecting almost for a second an explosion or the door to crumble or the door to bust open, but it's all it is just it flashes light and then it's gone. So kind of maybe more like metaphysically speaking, the only thing keeping them out was themselves. There was no actual door there ever because it didn't break.
The door there because
I know I'm just getting very metaphysical here. You know?
I was going to say because all it does is it switches the view from inside the room to outside. It's almost like the room is situated in a different part of the universe or whatever. And the door is just a portal to just like all those other key doors, dude. The freaking Door Lord is awesome. We totally haven't talked much about him this episode. Well, we've mentioned him, but
yeah, he must be squad.
He's fantastic. He was almost my lovely. I don't know how I
almost had him as a
monster
lovely
with teleporting powers,
but he gave me too much punchable vibes to be a lovely, and very Magic Man. It's Magic Man mixed with the Keeper from the Enchiridion, you know.
But he does crazy squats, as Jake mentioned.
He does crazy squats. it is, I would say, in terms of a magic power, that's a great magic
power. Magic power.
Awesome magic power.
He wanted to teach them the power of friendship and of being together, and you see him at the end, he's so happy. He's like,
didn't. That was his cop out. That was totally that. That's why I was like, that's his Magic Man moment of what's like, I'm trying to teach you a lesson.
Look at his face, dude. His face, he was so pumped that they got it. He was all about, heck yes, they got the lesson. They finally figured it out.
I don't know. I still think he was eating a sandwich in there, which he stole. So he obviously didn't care. He wasn't going to give them their stuff back either. You know that.
No, of course he wasn't going to. Well, unless they learned the lesson.
That would have been. I think he was just trying to do a diversion tactic, and he's like, "You got it. Like now, don't be mad at me."
Get out of there, and they beat him up.
Yeah, exactly. But needless to say, I don't think the Door Lord ever, unless there's some bizarre background mention of the Door Lord again later on. This is the last appearance of the Door Lord. So,
oh man,
a little bit of a bummer.
How do you feel, or how do you think that BMO feels about everybody? Because we didn't get much from BMO or how he feels, or like a BMO song, like an 8-bit ditty.
Yeah, I was shocked a little. I think they had to focus it on Marcy and BB in this episode and adding a BMO dynamic. Yeah. I think BMO was happy to just be there. I think BMO spends so much lonely time in the treehouse that he was like, I don't think he had much to say because he's probably just like, I can be an instrument, like happy to just be a part of the gang this time and with not much to say.
Finn's song didn't even mention him though. Like it was kind of sad in a sense. I like BMO a lot. I would have loved to get more BMO love in this episode. But as you mentioned, this is very much a Marceline and Princess Bubblegum episode. We don't necessarily need to add another character into the fray of that. And Finn already did that with himself where he's like, well, what about me? What about my problems with PB, you know? So
yeah, trust me, man. We'll get some more 3-dimensional BMO exposition later on. So it's coming.
Okay, cool.
Ned, I got a lesson for you. I was going to ask you what your lesson was.
My lesson is it's never too late to take a noodle break.
That's very true.
What's your lesson?
My lesson goes deep. Kind of a more theme of the episode than a lesson is that like the whole theme is about honesty, and that everything that each character was lacking in this episode was the inability to honestly express themselves. Marcy, with the way that she was dancing around the fact that she wants to repair the relationship with Bubblegum, and when she almost finishes the song and she could have started the conversation and been like, I want to be honest. I want to work on this relationship. I want to work on being friends again. Then she diverts and she's like, okay, that's too much. I can't be that honest. Finn doesn't want to be honest or hadn't been honest really with himself. And, PB was hiding the fact that she, cared about Marceline enough that the shirt was still really special. And the big thing in the theme of where it gets to my lesson is the fact that they were able to be honest and process the way they felt when they said it out loud. Again, that's why I think therapy is really important, is that if you get into these emotional cycles like Marceline, where you're mad and it makes you sad that you're mad, but then that makes you more angry. As soon as she said it out loud, she was able to actually go, oh, that is the truth. And she processed it for a moment there. Same with Finn. I think he was so confused in about bubblegum that as soon as he kind of laid it out there, he's like, that's the way I feel. Wow, I don't really. And it's like a weight off your shoulders once that's expressed out loud. And the truth is either out there for the public or even for yourself. Even just saying something out loud and you're like, cool. Like I don't have to dwell and have that spinning and, like I said, the emotional drying cycle anymore. Yeah. So my lesson is, if you are confused, dwelling over something, overthinking, take a moment with a loved one, by yourself, start saying it out loud. And it can really help you just get your honest feelings on paper. That's why people always say, like, write a letter to the person you're mad at and then throw it away. Because once it's out there, you can either look at how honest your emotions are and process it, or go, hey, my feelings are really silly and I shouldn't be mad about this, and then throw it away. So that's my little lesson in this episode.
That's good. Ned, I got a question for you.
Hit me, man.
To go a little lighter note.
Most honest song you ever heard?
Most honest song you've ever heard. Most honest song you ever wrote. What was it about? No. How long is too long to hold on to an item that you had from a previous relationship? Is it like a quarter of the length of the relationship? Or I don't really know if there's a rule for that. I'm curious what you think.
I don't know.
Because a quarter would be like, if it was a month, then you have a week-ish. If it was a year, then you have a couple months.
It depends on what it is. There was a letter I kept from an old relationship because I broke up with a girlfriend and she wrote this long letter. But I kept it because it just contextualized and helped me like remember, okay, like here's a lot of reasons why we broke up. And I held on to that for a long time because I'd read it.
You broke up with her?
Yeah. She wrote me this like long letter, but it was like kind of the reminder of like, okay, like here's why we broke up. I'm not like emotional about it. But in terms of like key items that are like, a sweatshirt that was exchanged, I say if you had to put a rule of thumb on it, honestly, by the time you are about to start a next relationship, that stuff needs to be gone. Anything that you was like, that would make you like harbor emotion about that last relationship, you can't begin to work on the next relationship until that thing's gone.
Yeah, I agree. If you're in a relationship and you're still wearing the hat from your previous significant other, I feel like
you're not ready to date. Yeah. You're not ready for the next relationship.
I totally agree. And there were a lot of red flags for one of my relationships, my like first, love or whatever you want to say, from like freshman year of college. And that was one of them. She had a hat from, it was freaking South Carolina hat, man, Gamecocks. And I hate it. I was like, why are you wearing that? And she's like, I don't know. Like he gave it to me, but like, I just don't have any other hats. red flag.
Not good. Yeah, we actually, we just cleaned out my house and I had like an old Valentine's gift from an old girlfriend. Like it was like a stuffed animal. And I was like, I just never threw it away. And I was like, okay. Like, because we were cleaning out my mom's
house. What'd Jackie say?
She was like, let's burn it. And I was like, yeah, we could burn it.
It wasn't at your new house with her. Okay.
No. It was at my mom's. Okay, it was like from high school. And I was like, I think it was like a 3-foot stuffed monkey. And I was like, and it had like Happy Valentine's Day on it. And I was like, I think I didn't throw it away because it was just like uneconomical to throw away a 3-foot bear.
I had a painting and I think that made it like a month or two, and I was just like, I gotta get rid of this thing. Like, I'm not over her, and this is not helping. And honestly, it wasn't that great of a painting, so I didn't feel too bad about throwing it away.
I get that though. I do have to say, on another light note, I was thinking about honest songs, and I was like, oh man, you can go really deep into like what's the most honest, best written song ever. I think the most honest, probably the shortest song I've ever heard in my life, that's not deep is Built This Pool by Blink-182. And
Oh,
the
wow.
only line of the song is, woo-oo, woo-oo, I want to see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool. And that's the song. And it's just like one riff.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to see some naked dudes. That's why I built this pool. And that's it. And I was like, honesty, boom, there it is.
Allie would call them for sure whiny boy rock. And I was thinking of Weezer. Weezer also got a lot of whiny boy rock. Like I was thinking of the song where he's talking about this girl who lives in Japan and he has her letter, like a fan letter. And he's like, but you have my song. It's so silly, but whiny boy rock. And then of course, Finn's song, Allie goes, is this whiny boy rock? Does this count as whiny boy rock? I'm like,
was this song written by The Fray?
It does sound a little bit like whiny boy rock. What am I to you? You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fair. Well, everybody, thank y'all for hanging out with us for an hour today. This was great.
Yeah, good one.
We really appreciate it. Of course, y'all can follow us on all our socials, which I'll say in a minute. But if you haven't, give us a review. Tell us about your review, and we'll send you a sticker. We've got a bunch of them still. We'd love to send out as many of these stickers as we can. Hit us up on Apple Podcasts with that review, or iTunes, or whatever it is that you can review us on. Even if it's like Spotify or something, and it's just a rating, let us know you did it, and we'll send you a sticker. We don't mind. The Instagram, in fact, we wish you would. Instagram at Never Ending Adventure Podcast, TikTok at Never Ending Adventure Cast, Twitter at NEA_podcast, email us at NEA.travelerslog@gmail.com for all your thoughts, opinions about the show, about the podcast, about me or Ned, and we'll get on those with a Traveler's Log segment, which we always love doing. And yeah, man, I mean, every Tuesday, we'll be back next Tuesday. I can't imagine next week's episode is going to be nearly as deep or amazing, in my opinion, as this episode was. But it could get there. I mean, it's just few and far between sometimes.
It's I think there's more good fun episodes. There's more deep stuff coming up in season 3, but we get some fun episodes that really go into some of the characters you didn't think would get some good screen time, and then we're diving into like all of our like B-list character stories, and that's I think it's just fun more than anything.
I want that. I do want that. I mean, like I said, I want to build we have characters. I want to build the world more and expand on what we already have. And truthfully, man, like this episode for me is a standout. I really do think this is an episode that made me really appreciate Adventure Time just a little bit more.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I feel like you've been waiting for an episode like this hardcore this season.
Yeah, plus music. I mean, whenever they incorporate songs and Adventure Time,
they do. They always do it, and they did a really good job of saying, you know, sometimes it's like a little ditty, or sometimes it's one emotional song like "Daddy, Why'd You Eat My Fries?" And this one hyper focuses on the importance of the music, and I like that too.
Yeah, and I'm glad they're not bringing in like external. They're having actual voice actors who are all like very talented, or at least Marcy.
Yeah, Jeremy Shader's got his own music career now.
They're very talented artists and singers, and I love that they're using those people at whatever phase of their life that they are, or phase of like musicianship that they are. As Jeremy was very young when a lot of this came out, like, and they used him and his vocals, and they're not doing a Disney thing where it's like, oh, okay, this guy's got a hell of a voice, but that's not the right, you know, or they're not using Elton John to write. And of course, it's a cartoon.
You're not going off
movie,
the cuff and you're using like your characters to write music, and it gives it a lot more authenticity in the show.
Yeah,
rather than having different voices. But
love Rebecca Sugar. She killed it this episode. Absolutely killed it.
She killing it.
Well, yeah. Thanks, you guys. See you next Tuesday. Of course, party forever.
And you know, in my best NPR voice, love that you guys.